How to draw walls in Practicad. Practicad offers 4 different types of walls that we can draw at any time. The first thing we must do is make sure that the walls are inside our architectural bin. Currently on my desktop you can see I have a line wall and round wall. We're going to add the other 2 wall types now. To do this, we're going to go into the library icon on the Practicad ribbon or Express Toolbar section. We're then going to focus on the left where it says Architecturals. Normally when you open up your screen, it will be closed. We're going to hit the little plus key, and then we're going to hit the plus key next to the wall, and we're going to look at the 4 different types we have: line, arc, custom, and L-shape. We're going to put the custom wall into our bin by first clicking on the custom wall. By doing that, you'll notice that the bin will open up for architecturals. If nothing's highlighted, you will not see the bin here. Then what we're going to do is hold down the left mouse click, and we're going to drag it into the bin and let go. We're then going to click on the L-shaped wall, and then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to click again, drag it into the bin, and let it go. Now we have all 4 wall types ready for the following tutorials. The first wall type is the line wall. To utilize the line wall, we're going to go into the architectural bin, and we're going to choose the line wall icon. Here you're going to see that we are currently holding this by the bottom right corner, and this hold point is going to be adjusted in our item box. We're going to go into the item box currently. You're going to notice that the wall tab has already been depressed for us because we've chosen a wall. And here you can see that we're holding the bottom on the Z-axis and the right on the X-axis. Just like fitting and steel, we can control the hold points for this wall wherever we'd like. If we'd like to control on the bottom left, we can switch it to the bottom left corner. And here if you zoom in, you can see that the crosshairs are currently on the bottom left corner. The next thing we're going to do is simply choose the proper parameters. There's only 3 basic parameters with the line wall. You can see the height of the wall, which you're going to move all the way up to 150. You can see the depth of the wall or thickness of the wall, and then we have the length of the wall. One important thing to mention about the line wall is it is not as flexible as the custom wall. Length is not dictated by stretching it between 2 points, which means if we're going to use the line wall, we actually have to know the exact length of the wall beforehand. This is why we usually recommend to use the custom wall. The last thing we have are the location special instructions. These are very common for all items in the item box. We go over those in other tutorials. And of course we have our standard ability to put on any elevations we'd like. Once we've got all the parameters selected, all we need to do is click on the drawing once. When we've done that, you'll notice that Practicad is using the left bottom corner point right here, and that's going to be the pivot point. You can see that Practicad is asking in the bottom to specify rotation around Z-axis or plan view, and all we're going to do is hold it in the direction we need and then click once and the wall will be placed. That'll conclude the tutorial on the line wall. The second wall type we have is the round wall. We're going to go into the architectural bin and choose the round wall. Here we're going to place it on the drawing at a pivot point and go into the item box. Basically, all the parameters and placement settings are the same for the round wall as the line wall with the exception of 2, the radius and the angle. Here you can see we have the height and the depth or thickness of the wall. It's identical to the line wall. Then we have the radius parameter. You can see if we make it 90, it's going to make the wall much larger, or 65 much smaller. And essentially we're going to measure the radius parameter for you later on in this tutorial. And the last property is angle. You can see that we have a half turn, so the angle is 180. If we did 270, it'd be 3/4 of a turn. If we switched it to 90, it would be 1/4 of a turn. So here we're going to put it back at 180. And now we're going to go to the drawing and we're going to lay this flat and we're just going to measure where the radius parameter comes from. We're going to use a linear dimension tool and we're going to stop at the top of the arc and measure to the bottom of the wall. And you can see that that parameter is 41 inches. I'm going to double click on the wall. The radius happens to be 45 inches, and the reason why it's 4 inches greater than you see here is because Practicad is reading this value and it's coming from the center line of the wall. In other words, the depth of this wall is 8 inches. Where you've got 41 inches from the bottom arc to the bottom of the wall. If we take that 41 inches and add half the depth, so we're basically about right here where the crosshairs are, the center line of the wall, that 4 inches plus 41 equals the radius parameters. So when you go to choose the radius parameters, keep in mind that you're giving it from the center of the wall. Everything else in terms of placement is identical to the line wall. So that'll conclude the tutorials on the round wall. The third type of wall we have is the L-shaped wall. The L-shaped wall is very similar to the line wall. It just has two sides to make an L or corner. We're going to go into the architectural bin and we're going to choose the L-shaped wall. We're then going to place it on the drawing. We're going to go to the parameter box. You can see all the parameters are identical to the line wall with the exception of here we have a length and width. The height parameters are the same. We have the depth parameters for thickness. We have a length which controls one side. So we'll make the length here 150 and then we'll make the width 75. So the length simply controls one side and the width controls the other. Everything else is the same in terms of placement. The last wall type is the custom wall. The custom wall is the most flexible of all four walls, and actually the custom wall can mimic the same properties as the other walls. So generally I just leave the custom wall icon in the architectural bin and I never use the other ones. However, it's up to the individual draftsman to choose which ones work for you. We're going to pick the custom wall out of the bin and we're going to go over to the item box. Notice you have the same hold points as all the other walls. Here we're going to hold this wall by the bottom left corner, but we only have the property for height and depth. All the other parameters for arc, radius, width, length, they can be adjusted on the fly, which makes this the most flexible wall we have. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on the drawing to start our wall, and we're then going to click one more time. That's going to start the first displacement of the wall. And we can simply hold this in the direction we'd like to go and click, or we can type in a distance just like we would a standard AutoCAD line or a PractiCAD steel beam. So here what we're going to do is we're going to type in 150 and hit enter. And that's going to draw a 150-inch wall. Then we're going to come down and we're going to go over 75 and we're going to hit enter. We're going to come to the right, we're going to say 75 and hit enter. Then we're going to come down and we're going to type in 100 and hit enter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hold all the way to the left. We're going to type in 225 and we're going to hit enter again. Now to close the wall off, we could bring the cursor over here and click, or PractiCAD offers a feature. If you look inside the command line, you can see it says specify the line endpoint or arc/close, and you have a capital A and a capital C. A would allow us to draw an arc. C would close the wall off for us. In this tutorial, we're just going to hit C and the enter key or the space bar, and that's going to instantly close the wall. And now we've got a closed wall. This is the most flexible, so it is the one I recommend working with, and therefore there are exercises in tracing over an architectural background with this particular wall tool. That'll conclude the tutorials on working with the four types of walls.